Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me in this webinar on causes and natural treatments for chronic fatigue. Chronic in the sense that it's ongoing, constant, not just one day where you didn't sleep good the night before. And notice the title is called Causes, because that's really the main secret in treating fatigue is diagnosing the cause. Until you know the cause, you can't really treat chronic fatigue. So what we're really going to cover today is the many causes of chronic fatigue. And we'll talk about, quickly some herbal remedies and other treatments that you could do to address that cause. So that's really the main issue, is to diagnose the cause. See, unfortunately, most people just take a stimulant, coffee, chocolate, Red Bull, other even herbs like ginseng and other herbs that are just very stimulating. And they do this, and you're just overcoming the fatigue for the day, but you're not addressing the cause. So you really need to know the cause and not just be taking the stimulants. In fact, just taking coffee and continuing to take coffee can actually even aggravate the cause. For example, adrenal fatigue. Drinking coffee will just make the adrenal fatigue worse and progress until your adrenals stop working, and you have, adrenal burnout, and even the coffee doesn't work anymore. So, and then of course, all that caffeine in your body, which takes days to get out of your body, is affecting your sleep, which is only further contributing to your fatigue. And this is where most people are in this type of unhealthy cycle. They're tired, they're fatigued, they're not sleeping well, they have no choice to pay the bills and keep going, but take the coffee, which then, of course, aggravates their adrenals and keeps them up at night, and it makes them unable to sleep, which only perpetuates the whole problem in the cycle. So the cycle has to be broken in that case, and that's usually adrenal herbs. And that's where we'll start with adrenal fatigue as the first common sign of a cause, I should say, of chronic fatigue. But I just want to repeat that just taking stimulants and coffee is not fixing your fatigue. You can have plenty of energy at 90 years old if you're healthy. Now, of course, again, there's many causes, including stress, nutritional deficiencies, poor digestion, even constipation can contribute to fatigue, poor digestion, gas, bloating, all signs of poor digestion, toxins in the system, poor liver function can be a factor. Even being underweight. This is very common, being underweight. These people are depleted, they're underweight, they're bony, they're not eating sufficiently, just having smoothies and skipping meals. And doing intermediate fasting when in fact they're depleted, underweight, and then they're tired in the afternoon. And again, they resort to coffee when the real cause is a state of being underweight and depleted, more than just nutritional depletion. But one of the most common nutritional depletion that lead to nutritional deficiencies that lead to being underweight or lead to fatigue is anemia. So a menstruating woman losing blood, or somebody with ulcerative colitis, or even hemorrhoids, where you're losing blood every day and then you become anemic, you're going to become very tired there. And coffee will make the bleeding worse, make a woman have more menstrual bleeding, the coffee, the hot spices, even the chocolate, it will make the bleeding more. So you're just aggravating the condition that's causing you the fatigue in the first place by having such an inflammatory, stimulating substance as coffee, when in fact that type of person just needs to overcome the nutritional deficiencies and maybe take anemia, iron supplements for a time being, but you want to get rid of the excess menstrual bleeding and the hemorrhoids. Again, both will become worse by coffee. Even hemorrhoids, you'll bleed more from the coffee. Ulcerative colitis, you'll bleed more from the coffee. And it's making you tired. Many inflammatory conditions can make you fatigue, particularly like inflammatory colon conditions, IBS, ulcerative colitis in particular, because you're losing the blood as well. But dehydration makes you fatigue. And many of these inflammatory colon conditions give you multiple loose stools. So you're having like 4 to 8 loose stools a day. And this is like dehydrating you. You're losing all this water. And that, again, makes you more fatigued. Even an infection, just like when you have a cold or flu, you feel tired, you want to stay home. But a lot of people can have chronic infections like herpes, Lyme's, and this going on for years and years, and they're fatigued. And again, they're just drinking coffee and are taking Red Bull, or, chocolate is even stimulating. So we all get hooked on these stimulants, and we're not treating the underlying cause. So just a chronic long-term infection, is just like herpes, will lead to a kind of a low-level, low-grade fatigue all the time. And of course, poor sleep. If you don't sleep good, you're tired. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. If I stay up too late, or I'm traveling or driving at night, or just in a place I'm not comfortable and there's some noise and I don't sleep good, it will guarantee the next day you are tired. Now, in that case, like in my case, if I was driving all night or busy at night, I can have some green tea or something to get through the day. But that's not chronic insomnia. So when you're always not sleeping good, and you're always waking up at night, when you have chronic insomnia, and you're going to be guaranteed tired, 100%. And then you're going to go to the caffeine, which again stays in your body for days and keeps you up at night. So, there's another bad cycle right there, because we have to survive. We have to pay the bills. We have to keep going, particularly if you have a job, you have children, you have bills. Like the most people, that, you just drink the coffee to get through the day, but you haven't addressed the problem of your insomnia, your nervousness, or infection, or digestion. And of course, I mentioned earlier, infection in the colon can give you loose stools and dehydrated, but just inflammation in the body. I meant to say inflammation in the colon can, give you loose stools and make you depleted and tired and fatigued chronically. And of course, if you have ulcerative colitis or stomach ulcer, you could be losing blood and not feel like eating. So then you don't eat much, you become thin and weak, and now you have another cause, you're depleted. So you could have multiple causes. Most people have multiple causes. But back to inflammation. And just like fibromyalgia, if you have inflammation of the connective tissue, inflammation of the muscles, when your muscles are inflamed, you're going to be fatigued. People with really high levels of chronic inflammation, they can feel tired even from talking, because you're having to use your jaw to speak, and then you feel tired by just moving your jaw, not alone walking or doing work. And of course, coffee's inflammatory. So now you're drinking the coffee and you're making your inflammation worse. We're going to talk about real quickly some treatments for each of these. I just want to really cover the causes, because that's what you really have to diagnose. And it's not difficult to determine the cause in this case. I'm sure by just listening to all these causes, most people will have 2 or 3 of them. I got a couple more. Hormones, particularly men, if they're having low testosterone, they're going to lose a lot of their drive, their mojo, their libido. So when libido's down, that's kind of a fatigue if you're tired to do it. And it's hormonal, but it's going to affect you in other areas of your life as well. And then there's a respiratory system. If you're having any breathing problem, you're on a CPAP machine, you're snoring at night, you got asthma, you're not getting oxygen in your system. And, that's going to make you tired too. High blood pressure can make you tired. High blood sugar can make you tired and fatigued. So really, what you want to not do is just take coffee and take even just green tea and ignore the causes. What you want to do is identify the cause and treat the cause, even if it takes you 3 or 4 months, because once you're healthy, you should have energy. I mean, that's one of the key signs of good health is energy. And people always comment me about my energy. Here I am doing webinars at night, working all day, doing all kinds of things, maintaining my ranch, and I'm just constantly going. And but I do have herbs, and herbs do help a lot. So you can see that getting off of the coffee is one of the first steps, because it's inflammatory, overly stimulating. So We are sponsored here by Herb Teas. Um, we got one of their cups right here, and all the products that I bring up today are available on this website, herbmanteas.com. So if some of these products you see you like, you can go buy them off of Herb Teas. Now, of course, you have a serious condition like fibromyalgia or ulcerative colitis, then you better just do an appointment. You're not going to be able to treat that by buying herbal products, even mine. So the first step is to get people off of the coffee. So if you're the burned out, sensitive type who has anxiety and poor sleep, but now you're all tired in the day, you can't really take relaxing nervine herbs too much. You're just going to become more tired. So we give you out this formula here, adrenal tea, adrenal recovery tea, but adrenal fatigue recovery tea. And that will get you off of the coffee. At least it keeps you going. You can see the ashwagandha in there, elethro, which is a type of ginseng. You also have tulsi, which is another adaptogen. Few herbs for digestion and circulation. Even more circulation can make you tired. And like cinnamon and ginger's in there. But the key herbs are ashwagandha and the elethro. Elethro is called Siberian ginseng or the cheap poor man's ginseng. But it's not that stimulating. There's no caffeine in it, but it will get you going. In fact, a lot of people say they didn't think it was working until they ran out and then they were tired again. See, it doesn't have the up because the up creates the down and then you got to take more. Same with blood sugar. You have sweets, you go up and then you crash, then you got to have more sweets. Coffee, the same. You go up, you feel great, and then you crash, you got to have more coffee. The adrenal tonic just kind of keeps you from crashing. So it just keeps you going. And a lot of people, I'll do the formula too, because powdered herbs are much more effective than teas. Teas are kind of limited. People who order my teas online on Herb Teas, they love my teas. I got a lot of reviews. People love them. But in practice, I'm not using them that much. I'm using the formulas and powders. And here's one that I would give in this case. And it's called adrenal. Let's see, there it is. Adrenal support. And we have a few versions like that's Vata. Supports adrenal health, provides non-stimulating energy, improves stamina, and reduces anxiety. And we have two versions of it. This one is for a person who's got some anxiety. And we have another one that's Pitta, and that's for a person who's warmer and hotter, maybe has a little anger issues as well. And so we have different versions of the same one. So I prefer, because I'm an Ayurvedic doctor, I prefer the formulas because when you take a powder, a teaspoon of this is like 10 cups of the tea. But what's nice about this tea is people can start it right off the bat and just replace our coffee and get going. But the combination really works good. Adrenal tea in the morning, adrenal tonic in the afternoon to crash. And then in the evening, you can do relaxing tea and sleeping tea to knock out. That's like a whole package, really, that I've given out many, many times. And it works very well. Now, if you don't have the anxiety and the poor sleep, then you can do okay with caffeine, but you got to get off the coffee because of its other qualities that we don't want, like its inflammatory qualities. Also, it aggravates the bladder. And I mentioned earlier, poor sleep is a big problem for fatigue. And that could, what's keeping you up at night could just be urination at night. And coffee makes that worse because it aggravates the bladder. So there's many reasons to get off of coffee. And green tea is so much better because green tea is anti-inflammatory, while coffee is inflammatory. So we have our most stimulating tea, which we give out to people who, aren't burned out and they can do some caffeine, is the morning energy tea. And that basically says right on there, replaces coffee. And it's kind of the most stimulating, but it does get people off the coffee. And we've got green tea in there, yerba mate in there, which even has a higher caffeine count than green tea, and some peppermint for flavor, gotu kola for circulation, cinnamon, and a little lemon peel. So it has a good kick. It's probably closest to coffee. I usually only recommend people do like 1 cup of that in the morning, maybe 2 at the most. My favorite, though, is this one. We call it Get Moving Tea. And the old name was memory and energy tea. So there are herbs in there for your memory as well. It does have green tea, and then the alethro, which is the adaptogen ginseng, peppermint for the flavor, the ginkgo for the circulation, the gotu kola also for circulation and mind, and rosemary, sage, and a little ginger. This is my favorite. I've been drinking it for 30 years. And like I said, the old name was memory and energy. And now we gave it the name Get Moving. So I would pick one of these to get off of your coffee. I mean, you got a few choices here. You have one more choice. And I also take this one because my body type is pitta. And I do this one in the summer. We call it sweet energy tea. And sweet energy tea is soothing, gentle energy without the caffeine jitters. It says using sweet and cooling herbs. So I take this one in the summer because the memory and energy's got a little ginger and cinnamon. And I don't need that when it's really stinking hot out. This one's got the green tea and the lethro, just like the Get Moving, but it's got Brahmi for the mind, lemongrass, which is cooling. They take that in India when it's hot in the summer. Fennel, which is sweet. Coriander, which is sweet. Cardamom, which is the king of spice. So this is a sweet and cooling tea with green tea and electrolytes. So I do this one all in the summer. A lot of times I'm doing this one cold. I make it the night before, put it in a pitcher, just pour that baby out in the morning, and I get my caffeine, I get going, and then later in the day, I do my brain tea in the afternoon. So one of those will get you off of the coffee. Again, all these are available on hermanteas.com, and you can get 10% off with a discount code webinar10off. Just put that in as a promo code. Now, let's talk about some of the other causes that I mentioned, because you really first need to get off the coffee, get on one of those products, and then treat the cause. And I didn't even bring up thyroid, hypothyroidism. So, we have a formula for that, hypothyroidism. And there could be other herbs as well that we provide for hypothyroidism. There it is. We have hypo and hyperthyroidism, and this in a powder. See, the tea isn't going to do it. You can't re-stimulate your thyroid with a tea. You need the powders. The powders are much stronger. This improves thyroid function, metabolism, also helps with digestion, lymph congestion, and weight loss. See, you get a lot more bang for your buck with powders. And so if it's hypothyroidism and you're not already been on thyroid medication for decades, which means a thyroid replacement medication, thyroid hormone replacement, in that case, your thyroid could just stop working. You really have to catch hypothyroidism in the first couple of years. Then it's very treatable. So you get off the coffee, and then you'd also have to treat the thyroid. Now back to the inflammation. If you're inflamed, then we got a lot of products for pain and inflammation, but the anti-inflammatory is probably the most best there, anti-inflammatory formula. And it's using the extracts of, there it is. It could be taken morning and evening. If you get that inflammation down, you can see the first ingredient is boswellia extract, and that is frankincense. It also has frankincense powder, and it does have curcumin. Everybody thinks it's just turmeric, but it's orange. Frankincense is white. So, and frankincense is the main ingredient. It's really so much better for pain and inflammation than turmeric. Turmeric really doesn't do anything. So I use the curcumin, but it's only 10% curcumin, but it makes the whole thing orange. But the curcumin is the extract, of course, 95% extract. And then I use the frankincense powder plus what's called shilaki. That's the frankincense extract. So there's two extracts in here. This just drops the inflammation immediately. You could have pretty bad inflammation and take one spoon 2-3 times a day, and by the end of the day, your inflammation is better. And you got to get off the coffee, you got to get off the inflammatory foods, the chocolate, the sweets. Sugar is inflammatory. Banana isn't inflammatory, but the sugar is, soda pop. So, you have to get off all the inflammatory things. Then you take the anti-inflammatory. And if you go to Herman Teas, I've got herbs for rheumatoid arthritis. I got herbs for osteoarthritis. I got herbs for like fibromyalgia. So I have specialized pain and inflammation products on hermanteas.com, but that's the general anti-inflammatory. So once you get that inflammation down, you're going to have more energy. Now, if you're constipated too, and constipation could be just sluggish bowels or one bowel movement a day, you got to get the bowels moving. Now, I'm just going to show you one product here, and that's the colon cleanse formula. It's not that strong. People are used to these really nasty, strong formulas that just, give you diarrhea. It's not that strong. I mean, I can drink a big cup of this in the day, and I'm trotting off to the bathroom in the morning, but I'm not going to have diarrhea the night. I'm not going to be running to the toilet if I'm driving my car, because I just don't make formulas that nasty strong. Peppermint is the first ingredient, but it does have senna, carsata sagrada, and then to help to soothe it so you don't feel any cramps, because senna can be cramping. Then I put in the licorice, the fennel, the cumin, and the ginger. So it helps with digestion and constipation. But if you go to Remedies.com, you can see I've got 5, 6, 7 different colon formulas. Again, better to pick the formula or do appointment, because if you're having a little inflammation in the colon and you're still having one bowel movement, you can't be doing carsata sagrada and senna. I mean, that's not for everybody, even though that's a kind of a gentle version. Most people are scared of these colon herbs, but mine's not that strong. I put a 10% carsata sagrada, 10, 15% senna, and the rest is all peppermint, fennel, ginger, cumin. So it is not super strong, but it works. So yeah, I mean, but it takes 5, 6 hours. Sometimes I take it in the morning when I forgot to take my colon herbs at night. But, this toxin, this AMA, this, blocked of the channels, they call it, even the mitochondria we know are our little energy sources. And when they're blocked at a cellular level, you're often usually blocked at at the colon too. The colon is blocked, creating the toxins. The toxins get in the system. The toxins get in the cells. The toxins get in your mitochondria, and you have fatigue, no energy, and it's all from your constipation. Now, you can have other sources of toxins, including liver toxicity from use of pharmaceutical drugs, recreational drugs, and other, just pollution and pesticides and chemicals, and eating food that's not organic and not fresh, and processed foods. There's many ways to get toxins in our society, but once they get too high, you get fatigue, and you need to clean it out, the colon and the liver. So, we'll use the word detox. You know what I'm talking about. Now, if you're a male and you're fatigued and you're sexually active, a lot of times I just give men, I have a male libido tea, I just give them the male vitality formula there, and it's got ginseng in it. So you can just take that in the morning. You don't have to really wait until the evening. I just give that to men in the morning. I said, hey, you're having a little weakness in bed, you're tired all day, you just take this. That's going to give you the energy like you can't believe. Ginseng this is the rich man ginseng. Electros, we call it poor man ginseng. White ginseng, red ginseng from Korea, that's the expensive ginseng, and you feel it. I think it's still only like 20%, but it's got other supportive herbs for fatigue, ashwagandha, which was in the tea, and kapikachu, and other herbs for the male libido system like muesli. So, here the man, he's got the energy now, he's off the coffee, and his libido's improved all in one shot. And men really like that trick because they're happy to get off the coffee, and they just take that, and their libido gets better. I did mention anemia is a common cause, and we do have natural anemia capsules here. There we go. Anemia tabs, we call it. So it's got naturally processed iron that's easier to digest and won't constipate you. And then also Shilajit. Many people have heard of Shilajit now. We call it mineral energy powder. Sometimes we have it in tablets too. Oh boy, here. There we go. Let's see. It's that bright lighting. Mineral energy powder. And it's basically trace minerals. We put the word energy in the name. I think on the website we call it pure Shilajit powder. but here it's called mineral energy because it's full of these trace minerals, folic acid. So mineral deficiency, trace mineral deficiency can also create fatigue. And that's why Shilajit works so well. It's like a mineral supplement. That's what we call mineral energy powder. But I think when we sell it on Hermenti, we just call pure Shilajit powder because many people know what Shilajit is. So I'll throw this in too. And some of the male herbs also already have it in there. So, you get over one of those teas, like adrenal tea. Maybe you're taking adrenal formula or a male support formula in the afternoon, putting a little Shilajit in there, and then you're going. You want to have nice, smooth energies throughout the day. You don't want to have these peaks and then the crash. And you got to get to sleep. So a lot of times I end up having to give them herbs for the sleep as well, because if they're not sleeping well, then you're not going to have good energy. And once you do sleep good and you have energy in the day and you're busy doing everything you have to do in the day, then you get tired at night and you're back to sleeping good, and you can break the cycle. You don't need to take the herbs forever. It's not like medicine where once you start that sleeping pill, you may have to just keep on going with it because you never remove the cause and you're probably still drinking the coffee in the day. So I'll get you off the coffee, get you off the caffeine, give you herbs at night to knock you out. And you can buy a lot of sleeping products on hermenteas.com. We have sleeping tea, relaxing tea, and a couple different sleeping formulas. One for a person who's hot at night, like you can't sleep, plus hot flashes, and one that's, standard one that's a little warming. So you have to pick the right product. There's not just one sleeping product. You have to just read about them on the website, and then you can pick the right one. Or, you can do an appointment with me by going to my website, kabirsclinic.com. You'll find links below. And I wish you all health and happiness. And first start by changing your life, lowering your stress. And if you're underweight, you're going to be tired. If you're overweight, you're going to be tired. If you're overstimulated, you're going to be tired. If you're over exercising, you can even be tired. So you have to find a balance. Everybody's a little different, but these are hopefully I gave you some ideas to start taking a proactive approach against treating your fatigue and not just pushing through it, drinking the coffee, because that's like called whipping the horse. You may get the horse running, but eventually that horse is going to collapse, particularly if you've been just skipping, you're underweight, thin, skipping meals, living off of coffee and smoothie, then you're eventually just going to crash, and you're going to call it burnout. So you want to take care of your health issues before then, and identify the 1, 2, or even 3 causes you may have for your chronic fatigue. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, let's thank our sponsor, herbmanteas.com, for making all these teas available and giving us the coupon code webinar 10 off on the website, hermenteas.com. God bless all of you. Thank you very much. And I hope you have good energy and happiness.